welcome everyone for joining. There we go. All right. I'm checking to see that the chat works. So folks, just let me know where you're coming from so I can see that. Hello from Toronto. You know, Daniel, I know a lot of graphy people in Toronto. I think there's some weird center of gravity out there for graphs. But anyhow, welcome folks for joining.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about creating your own personal knowledge map using
Yeah.
Obsidian, OpenAI, Kuzu, and
Yeah.
GraphXR. So a lot of different components that Weidong Yang has put together in an open source project. Weidong Yang is the CEO of Kineviz, and I would say one of my favorite people to talk to about how humans interact with data. He's very much a thought leader, I would say, in graph analytics and just exploration of graphs. So thank you, Wei, for joining us and spending a little time with the GraphGeeks community.
Well, thank you so much, Amy. Thanks for having me here. I'm really, really happy to share some of the work and thoughts and experiments with everyone. So, yeah, okay, I finally figured out how to get to the chat. Now I can see everybody.
Awesome.
Where do you
Hey, we have
from?
people coming in from Stockholm too. Awesome. Half Moon
Oh my
Bay.
goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
Doug, I know Doug. Portland, all over the place. So that's wonderful to see the diversity. So, Wei, before we dive into a personal knowledge map or
Yeah.
knowledge graph map, uh, can you tell me what we're talking about in general, like at kind of high level, what is this
Yeah.
thing, and why you created it? Because I know you're pretty busy in general, so doing a an open source project on the side surprised me. So yeah, what's going on there? Tell me the story.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. It's just a really interesting thing. So, we are in the graph space working on the graph solutions. One of the promise of a graph is it's a knowledge graph. It's a way of you store the knowledge. You can retrieve it. You can use it as like as a base for analysis. So we've been thinking about the graph is the solution for ourselves for a long time. But however, like every time in the past, like as a researcher, as entrepreneur, we collect a lot of notes, and each time I put trying to okay, here's how I can put the notes together, and then I can review
Yeah.
it later. I can gain the insight from my past experience, past composition, past research. But each time you keep doing that for a few days, and it fell through the crack. You can't continue. And still to this days, um, I have so many notes scattered in so many different places, and a big place is email. That like so many emails, tens of thousands emails, or even probably over 100,000 emails. Like it's a treasure trove, but you can't easily
Yeah.
access it. So, but that's a different
Yeah.
question. Yeah, but a lot of like researchers, like you purposefully go collect information, collect the note, doing the
Mhm.
research. But I can't really leverage those research like a week later, and so that's been a problem. And until somebody show me how they use Obsidian to organize their nodes, and Obsidian has this basic link capability. You can define entity, you can link them. It's very useful, but it takes a lot of effort, and I can immediately see that yes, if you're very disciplined, you can do it for a few weeks. um,
Yeah.
if you're not disciplined like me, you do it for a couple of days, like it, but the moment it gets scales up, I get like hundreds of nodes or thousands of nodes, I like, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's just too much work. But then because we are building the graph tools, I immediately realize, wait a minute, like if I make the process of identify entity and the link between entities automatic, notice I use link, not relationship, uh,
Mm.
because like that's a different subject about like the knowledge graph and the knowledge map and
Yeah.
what is the thing. But I want to keep things very, very simple. Like if I just simply I be able to identify the entity and link them, and then everything can become automatic. Of course, the missing piece is like, yes, you can link them, you can identify them. How do you actually access them? Like fortunately, we already solved that
Hmm.
problem in Kineviz. We have a tool called GraphXR that allow you to, if the data is in the graph format, you can immediately dip into analysis. So that's why
Yeah.
I just like I could not resist myself. It's just, okay, this is tool can actually gonna solve my own problem, and I know a couple of people has this problem. Let me just
Mhm.
quickly vibe code it. Here you go.
Interesting. Interesting. There's a couple things you said there. One is just the notes you have. I thought all my problems would be solved if I just got a note-taking app. So, I did that with, to transcribe all of my meetings. And then I realized, because there's all this like really good content, and then I never really went back to them very often. I thought it was interesting. And then I went back to handwritten notes. And then I'm like, okay, I have some handwritten notes. And then I actually do have some summarized notes. And then I used, Gemini to an LLM to help do some research and find me some resources. And I had those notes, and so I was back to the same problem of some handwritten, some meeting notes, documents that I had grabbed or created, and it was still kind of all over the place. So that's part of why I wanted you to come on and talk to people about it, because I have this problem as well. And I keep trying different tools, but like you said, not disciplined enough, or they weren't flexible enough. Maybe I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah,
So, what did it, you mentioned also doing this via vibe coding. So
yeah.
you've been in the software space for a long time and have coded up solutions for Kineviz. Why did you decide to vibe code? What was your experience like
Yeah.
with that? What? Yeah.
It's a really good question, Amy. I'll go back to vibe code in a minute, but the thing
Okay.
you pointed out, why it's so hard to stick with it, I actually have some insight to share. And
Mhm.
to me, there's a fundamental disconnect, a conflict between
Mm.
what we think graph should be and what actually graph is, and also how things
Mm.
can scale. Like once you get something complex, scaling become really, really hard. Like getting a few nodes, make them
Mm.
accessible is one thing.
Mm.
Getting thousands of nodes, as you and I, like everybody here, doing over the time, quickly you get to several hundred, several
Mm.
thousand, and still make them maintainable, manageable, and discoverable. It's really, really hard. That's a problem
Mm.
difficult to solve. And the
Mm.
other thing is like, what is a human-friendly things versus machine-friendly things? That's also two different things. And
Yeah.
before you scale, you need something human friendly. That's great. Like a few nodes, several tens of nodes, human friendly solutions are magnificent. Once the scale goes up, you need a machine friendly that hands the database. And now once you
Mm.
start dealing with the database, the human friendly things just go off the window. And like anything
Yeah.
changes, anything uh, like what do you call it, the edge cases, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to hop out this, I need to capture this information. The thing with the database with is I have think it's like container ship. In order to ship things cross ocean, you need a container ship, standardize things. But if your things does not fit into a container, well, too bad. You need to find a different way. So the database things it has its merit. It's a great merit. It's once you can manage
Yeah.
scale to things. This is amazing. But however, to make it human, like when we take a node, we need something human friendly.
Mm.
And to get something human friendly and to be able to scale, that's actually harder than most people realize. And that's something I'll show you that with Obsidian and automate the process, we may have finally one solution that I'm sure there's many solutions to it to
Mm.
solve this problem. Now come back to the vibe coding thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I I was trained a physicist and also a computer scientist. So I've been building software for years. I really enjoy doing that. The like solving problem is my hammer. So like anything is the nail. Like if I can solve the problem. So this is a problem for myself too. Yes. By the way, once you become CEO, you realize you can't do that anymore. You have to depend on other people. You have to use your like a develop team to solve those problems. But it means the ability to quickly get something in, see the result, and iterate. Because in anything we build a solution, so the whole principle of graphics art software we build is enable quick iteration. How you have a question, you can
Yeah.
immediately see the result. You can jump into the next round iteration. So the iteration uh, without interruption of the thought process is so crucial in problem solving. And I just miss that because like when I'm coding myself, I can quickly discover, see the problem,
Yeah.
see where it needs to go. But once you depend on the team, you have to slow down the pace for the good reason because the software needs to be solid, needs to be manageable, needs to be scalable. You can't go in the original way, like by yourself, just quickly code something, push up, deliver, test. That won't work anymore. Uh, Now, with vibe coding, I found out that situation has changed. With vibe coding, and I was able to like get something up and running, which I estimate would take me a month or two in a few
Mm-hmm.
hours. Now,
Oh, okay.
the thing is, you have to do it in the right way. Vibe coding today still cannot handle complex systems.
Mm.
Anything the way I see that the word, the structure information is a fractal. You have layers, structures based like on the
Mm-hmm.
bottom layer you have a massive, and then up layer abstracted, the even up layer abstracted. So if you ask vibe coding to go up and low a few depth, you're asking for problem today. If you start to have something multiple component interdependent and asking vibe coding try to sort them out, try to design something that's working, yeah, it will probably never come back. It's really the complexity is the problem for vibe coding. But if you can simplify your structure, like artificially even sometimes to make it really simple. So make AI only focus on one small problem at a time. It actually solves the problem really well. And the code I sometimes I check the code and test it. It's like better than I can do. Uh, but that's conditions if you can simplify the problem or you
Yeah.
can partition the problem into simple enough modules. And then you can
Yeah.
use AI to actually solve each module independently. And
Right.
better yet, later on, you can actually go tune each module separately to bring the quality up. So that has been quite a change for me because now like when I see the obsidian things like it's not something I'm because I don't know what's gonna come out. It's not something I'm willing to spend a week on this,
Yeah.
but 2 hours, sure. Let me just do it.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, and I believe I'm sure by the end of the project you were more than 2 hours in. However, I think your point
Absolutely.
about getting started quickly and iterating, because that's always, especially in the beginning, any project, especially but a software project, you don't really know if you're headed in the right direction for a while. And so you want to iterate very quickly on kind of the gross level, and then hone and do things more polished later on. So anyhow, I didn't mean to distract you with the question on vibe coding. Um, let's talk about the solution, the Obsidian Knowledge Map, and
Yeah.
what you're able to do. And I know you're going to show some stuff. I don't know if you're ready to dive into that, but yeah, is there?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah, I
let's talk
can.
about that. And yeah.
Yeah, maybe what I'm gonna do is I'm do a quick demo and then I go through a little bit details, how to set things up,
Perfect.
what the considerations
Yep.
goes behind, and then like ask people to, like, if you guys have any questions. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, please just put in the chat. And also my colleague Deanna is online too. So if you have questions, you can also direct to him. Like, I'm gonna put his Deanna at kineviz.com, his email here,
Awesome.
so I can get some help with him. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm just gonna share my whole screen. So but when Amy and I was talk about this, we were like, let's keep it super casual, like just chatting between friends, share the knowledge, share the best practice. So feel free to just like put in the chat, ask questions, and um,
Absolutely.
if there's a Amy, if there's some question,
I will let
like
you know.
just raise hand so I can
I
talk.
can
Yeah,
also project some of them on as well. So yeah, go for it. Ask
great.
questions. We're pretty casual here. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, let's keep it really casual, and I like it. Otherwise, I feel like one of those people. If you go to Berkeley or go to San Francisco Street, you see people talking to the void, and that that feeling is
There.
not very good.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Oh, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've
Okay.
got. So go ahead and start your demo. But we've got someone who's trying to follow steps on their own vault along.
Whoa.
So thank you,
Yeah.
Quentin. That'll be very cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, so just so here's a Obsidian vault that I have. So the good thing about Obsidian is you can organize all your node. Like for example, I put persons node in the person folders, and here's some like if you follow the news last few weeks, and there's something pretty interesting. Like Stephen Colbert was banned well, his show will be terminated, I think next year, and Jimmy Kimmel was temporarily put off the show. So I just like collect some notes here. Um, the way I collect notes is some is my handwritten. Like if I go to a meeting, I get the meeting notes, just write it down, or I just go ChatGPT, give me a deep research on this subject, on this person, on this company. Just keep on and just create the notes here to push it in here. So um, also, I can just do a web search, and there's a, like for example, like let's see, like Stephen Cobalt, and there's a this image come up, or the Stephen Cobalt. So if I like it, well, there's a like a it's plugin called Obsidian Web Clipper that I can click it, and it formulate like extract the text, and then it's sent to Obsidian. Now in the clipping folder, you have this website as a as a web clipper nodes. So this is how I organize information. And also you notice there's some like a structured. I'll come back to it later. But now the next piece is I'll show you where to get the source code. Once you install the source code running or install the Docker running, you see it detects something changed. And so basically what it says is, I noticed you have pushed a new markdown file in the Obsidian Vault, and let me process. But it's have a 60-second delay. So just in case, if you're still working on the file, for example, if I change anything, it's I think the technical word called debounce. It's a delay another 60 second to process. So now it's processing. It's detect there's 174 chunk. Oh wow, this is actually a pretty big document. I didn't realize I pushed such a big document. Okay, that would be fun. Let it finish. So what happens now? Um, it's using the right now I configured it to use OpenAI GPT-4o Mini to process. So you can also configure it to use local LLM to process. And I test a few different LLM, and what I found out is Gamma 312B is give you almost same quality as GPT-4o Mini, Gamma 3 4B, however, is very fast, but it does not follow the instruction very well. So don't use that one. You can also have a setup that, let's say if you have multiple machines that you can configure multiple, each one of running Olama, you can configure them to process this in parallel to get the throughput up. So over engineer a little bit, I admit it, but sometimes as engineer, if you have a problem, you not trying to solve it is excruciating painful. So that's partially the problem. Yeah. Anyway, so what the other thing you wanna configure is here there's a .env file. You should copy paste .env.example to .env and put your Open API key here. Config example should be copied to config.yaml and then put your own vault path in there. That's the only thing you need to configure. Everything you can leave it as it is. So while it's working, I think maybe in sorry for pushing such a big article for the live demo and didn't realize it. But in the meantime, we can already go to the analysis side of things. Let's see, is this the one? No, not the, okay, so not the one. So let's see, where is my, okay, there we go. So here, let me start from the scratch to show how you can work it. And so I'm gonna delete this one. So you will want to go to graphxr.kineviz.com, set up an account, and with your email. And for now, to support this, you probably need to send an email to me or Deanna, and says, hey, I'm in this talk. I'm interested in trying this out. What we're gonna do is gonna add a flag to your account so you can start using these solutions. And you will notice there's a create from sandbox thing here. So this is because there's some internal improvement we're making with the GraphXR that if we just open for everybody to use, likely it's gonna crash the server. That's a different subject. It's a more resource intense, so we kind of limit letting have a gradual onboarding process. So let's say if you create from sandbox, you see the Obsidian Knowledge Map, just create sandbox. That give you a project already, everything's pre-configured, and you can click on that, open. So this is the kind of experience you will go through, and bear in mind, I'm some things still under development, so you will see probably a few glitches. Like right now, the loading is keep on going forever. I don't know, that might be a bug we need to fix. However, if you come to here, this entity stats, click on entity stats, and you can click this button to go to the full screen. What it does is now, so remember we have the vault, Obsidian Vault, and we have the project that's running that processed knowledge base, and then in turn, what it does is generating still processing 30. Yeah, my apologies. I put in too much stuff in there. Anyway, so it opens up a Kuzu database, and in the back we use Kuzu database. Why am I keep on showing the wrong window? And so here is what you see, the entities detect in your original in the vault, and so we focus on for reason simplicity, we focus on just person and company, and if you want, you can adjust it. There's a file here, prompts.yaml. You can go in there to add entity you want and the specific relationship you want to adjust it. Now, yeah, it's still running because I'm using OpenAI for Mini. It's not the fastest service. I think I get about 50 tokens per second. If you're running the Gamma 3 12B on 3080 GPU or M4 Max GPU, you get double the throughput.
Hey, Wei,
Yeah,
we have a few
yeah.
I think questions coming in on like
Oh,
I
great.
I think they're about like prereqs. Why? So I'll just
Yeah,
don't worry about the chat. I've just put in the GitHub link so that people can find it. But I thought maybe this, while we're waiting for a
yeah,
little bit of a final there, if you could just go over like the main. So this is an open source project. Obviously, early days. The demo that, or what I've seen of it so far, I think it would be useful even today for people. But it is early. You are looking for collaborators that want to, or anybody who wants to like extend it. They can openly do so. But could you go over like the main requirements and components? And I don't know if you want to show your Git repo and go over the main components, and then we can kind of jump back to the demo.
yeah. So really good question. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
So here's the main repository, and so there's a README files here to guide you through the quickly setup. There's I use UV to manage the Python. So you can pretty much run it on Linux, on the Windows or Mac box. Just follow this. There's also a Docker. You can export a Docker image and run Docker Compose to get running. So a few things it needs, and it needs a OpenAI key or your local large language model setup. And so if you look at the files, there's env.example. Here's where you need to enter your OpenAI key and copy .env example to .env. And there's also another place you want to configure is like yum, there's a config, where's my config file? Yeah,
And
config
wait,
example. Yeah,
what two questions on the OpenAI. What are you using OpenAI for? And what are you planning to add in other language models, or are you hoping that maybe somebody else will want to contribute and add that? Or what are your thoughts around that?
yeah. So what I'm using OpenAI for is if you look at the prompt, let me show you the prompt
Mm-hmm.
YAML. Yeah. So here's the prompt I sent to OpenAI. Essentially, I'm asked it to look for entities of person and company
Okay.
and relationship between companies,
Mm-hmm.
between company and person, and among persons. So it's I want to keep it very, very simple for generate this like knowledge graph, and it's also because like with the large language model, you don't really get a high quality, clean knowledge graph right away. And so the philosophy behind this, we directed to give us some more like a fuzzy um,
Mm-hmm.
knowledge graph. That's what we call knowledge map.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main purpose is through the link, through the edges, you can quickly assemble the necessary um, context for when you look into something, you look in the person, look in the company, have a question, you can quickly get the context in one place very fast. So that is the main purpose of creating this knowledge graph. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So let's see now that I have the thing running, right? So for example, like I click on the person, I see, hey, I'm interested in Stephen Cobalt, and let me pull in. So what you have is a graph of Stephen Cobalt and all the uh, related entities, and there's edge. So you can double click edge to see which the relationship is, or you can go on the relationship and go to the uh, turn on the caption if you want to show the relationships, or you can double click on any node, you see the information. Um, Now, and or you can say, hey, I'm interested in this group of entities, and I want to know more about that. You can expand. I'm just doing expand all. So that get me more information that's in my node. So this is a way of there's 5 nodes involved from the original Obsidian, and there's a 5 persons and 22 companies involved. Now the next question really is like, okay, let me just get rid of the nodes to make the graph a little bit simpler. I want to look a little bit deeper. Let's see Emmy Awards. What happened with Emmy Awards? To do this, like I can open this called entity analysis. Let me make it a little bit smaller, and let me select Emmy Award. So what's happening here is it will pull up the node in Obsidian and highlight the matching entities, or I can do a few of them. Let's see, select, I'm holding down the shift key and select a few nodes. And now you notice it figure out there's 4 nodes that contains the entity that I'm highlighted in the graph area. So I can switch between those nodes to see what's being talked about it by those entities in those nodes. Yeah. So now this enable you to quick review and read, and it's very useful. Like if I hit one of my notes, the meeting notes, and my personal research, very concise. So, but I can also see, hey, let's see Emmy awards like here. So, for example, like Emmy, I can now I can ask questions. For example, like uh, let's see, like what's being discussed about Emmy award.
And in this
Yeah.
way is when it's going out to use OpenAI to now look at your notes and analyze them, or is it going out to the internet and coming back? What's the...
So by default, the prompt will limit to use just the context provided. So
Okay.
it will not go out to look for like additional information.
Okay.
However, you can also see, hey, I want more information, just like what's happened in Emmy Awards, like in 2024. Uh, let's see, tell me about the history of Emmy Award.
Well,
Use, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, I really like the fact that it's looking at theoretically my notes because I spent time taking notes, and maybe in particular, if I'm doing client interviews, qualitative research, yeah, there's a lot that people tell you, in a call, and trying to analyze that amongst, 30 or 50 calls. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting kind of excited about this because I often, I'm flipping through notes and trying to summarize and things like that. So I like the idea that it's kind of helping me with my own the
Yeah,
notes that I already took. Yeah,
that's my problem forever, for eternity.
yeah.
Because I know my notes is somewhere, but just to find them, it's a challenge. And even worse is like over the time, because I'm not disciplined enough, I start taking note in different places, like Evernote, or OneNote, and Google Keep, um, Notion, Obsidian, um, like conference, you name it. So the information gets scattered so much that I can't use them. So every time, just the effort of finding my personal notes is so
Yeah.
painful. Yeah,
Okay.
but I do have a recommendation from my. So this is actually first time I actually found myself using this system on the daily base. But I do recognize like what I just did, and pushing such a large article into
Mhm.
the node without thinking, that's bad practice. Uh, because it's a human-friendly node system, it prefer a high quality like data. So ideally, you're not just pushing anything to here, like what I just did. You push in some high quality information over here, like a summary or a research or meeting summaries that make it, or even I have thought about pushing the transcription of the meeting transcription over here, but I decided not to, because meeting transcription is a low quality. There's a lot of errors in there, and but meeting summary I added a little bit, push in. Well, that's perfect. So apologize. I just did something I should not be doing. I know I shouldn't be doing. Anyway, yeah. So here, for example, I just did a little bit of research. The research is based on the data in the notes, and it come back. And for example, here then I can see and make some edit. So here is a quick research about Amy. So just add some research, and then I can save to Obsidian. So what's happening here is this node I just created, and if you go to GraphXR notes here, that is Amy Award, that being saved as a new node. Now the node from the GraphXR is saved in the GraphXR nodes, just like the web clipper saved to clipping nodes. The reason is we don't want to automatically mix with all the curated nodes. So this is more like a staging areas. You get information into the Obsidian nodes. Because one of the thing in managing an information system is how do you manage the reliability of your source information? Like the source information should not be easily changed. Like if your analysis changes source information, you have a problem. Thus, like when we save the information to Obsidian, we save it to staging areas that you can actually edit the title, edit the contents, and move into any places you want, or you can just leave it here, so you know those are nodes are from your research in the GraphXR. Now, yeah,
So, Wei, there's a question that I actually also had. I'm going to show on the
yeah,
stream again,
yeah.
where Deshant is asking about, can you talk a little bit about what you're doing where? So from a document schema perspective, what Obsidian is enable, what Kuzu, because you're storing some things in Kuzu
Yes.
as well, GraphXR, like these different components, like what are they, yeah, what are they doing? Oh, you have a slide. Yay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, great question. Keep it coming. I told Amy we want to keep it casual, so this presentation is really like follow the flow, not really follow a agenda. So Obsidian is used for human-friendly knowledge base. Like really, like when we think, I heard somebody talk about the difference between knowledge base and knowledge graph. Knowledge base is really a human-friendly way of capturing information, store the information, and retrieve the information. It's make it like so you can easily change, edit, modify it. So for example, here, if I add the meeting node, and let me create a new meeting node. So like graph geeks talk and conversation. So that's like 2025. What's today's date? 09?
The ninth, I think. Yes,
Yeah,
the
okay.
ninth.
So
Yeah.
that's my note. And then I can see here I just like dash dash dash. I have my notes, and then I can see at like a date and yeah, let's just automatic quick and opt like where online, and then I can see here organized by Amy. And then I can say, hey, actually, I want to entity resolve Amy to somebody else, or the full name. So here I can like add resolves. So Amy should be Amy Hodler. And I can add more names here. So that gave me, so this entity resolution is active for this single node. So within the single node, my like person and company name can be normalized. That actually can be quite helpful, right? So here I thought about, do we want a entity resolution for the global level or for the node level? And then realized the global level complexity is multiple order magnitude higher than the single node. And why don't we just create something simple, like each node is small enough that we can control. We can easily declare a good entity resolution solutions, like declaration here. And especially if I go to GraphXR to look at the graph, I can even easily say, oh, okay, those two things needs to be resolved. I can enter here. So this is where what the Obsidian is doing really well. It's like making the human-friendly capture information, but with it make easy to capture this like unstructured information, like I'm handwriting here, and the structured information that's on the top. It has a template system. You can see if a person, I have those expected the properties for a company. I have a set expected properties. So that makes it, so that's where and Obsidian is a perfect tool for human-friendly knowledge base to capture structured and unstructured data. And I really like, I wish I can talk to Obsidian team. I really give them my regards, because I have a lot of respect for them. Like, because in order to scale, it had to be simple. Obsidian make everything very, very simple in design. They simply use Markdown. For example, here you can go to the source node. That's it. That's just Markdown file. So it's it's open standard. It's extremely simple, developer friendly, and if you don't know it, it's still easy to use. You don't need to care about how it's saved. Um, so that's perfect system. Now the second step is Kuzu database. So Kuzu team, Kodo to Kuzu team, they did amazing work. Uh, for years, I maintain. I'm sorry if there's a graph database, like if there's database providers, like I maintain the data is prima donna. The data it should be the center of attention, not the database. Uh, the database serves the purpose of managing the data and make the data analysis possible. But the data is the core. So like without a Kuzu, if you don't know it, you should really check this out. It's called kuzudb.com. So go, it's embedded database. It's something like the MySQLite in the SQL world. So you can embed in your code, embed in your solutions without the need to maintain a server infrastructure for the database. Um, Now, it also has its like the design is columnar design is similar to DuckDB. So compared to other row-based graph database, it has pro and cons. The pro is it's extremely fast. It can be 10 times faster than the row-based graph database. It's also extremely memory efficient because every time when you send a query, you ask it to look for specific information. It only loads that particular column data to analysis. So I noticed that in the memory efficiency, are also on average getting a 10x improvement. So imagine one of the key challenge for graph database is like graph database sharding across servers is a very, very hard thing to do. So if you can use your single computer RAM to do as much as possible, that just make your problem much easier. So one order of magnitude amount of data can be processed with a local memory that enables a lot of difficult problems, make a lot of difficult problems easier. Of course, if your data scale to even larger, you need different data solution, architect solutions. Now, the downside of Kuzu is because it's columnar data. I noticed like it's fast, it's memory efficient. However, if you want to insert, you're out of luck. It's very slow. Especially if you depends on if you're trying to use it as a transactional database, if you insert a lot of information on the fly, that's not a good way of using Kuzu. So we use Kuzu as analytic database only in the solution also in the solution that we are constructing with the Kuzu. But basically we turned our data into Parquet file and then load Parquet into Kuzu in one fly, and that's very, very fast. And if once the data in, if you want to transform data, very fast, and do run analysis lightning fast. So Kuzu, they literally solve a huge problem we had. So for years I've been trying to actually started.
All right. I think I lost Wei for a moment. Ah, no. Okay. Thanks, Jeremy, for letting me know. I thought it was me that got lost. So I'll wait for Wei to come back. I'm sure it was an internet issue. Let's see here. But I will say one of the things that I thought was um, interesting there was that you're using Obsidian for your entry of data and that kind of human back and forth and how we kind of source all of our information using Kuzu for, well, and then LLMs for the ETL entity resolution, and then Kuzu for the map, so you actually control the connections that way, and then the GraphXR for the actual kind of analysis and exploration. So you've got, as Wei said, separating the source content from the actual the analysis, and not injecting it unless you want to. And in that case, we all saw the arrow coming back there to connect us through. So it looks like we are still missing Wei, but I guess I'll just open it up and maybe there's some questions that I can answer, or I'm also kind of curious. It looks like there's a few of you that are interested in playing with this as well, which is really interesting. I did note that a couple of you would like to actually do a pull request, so I'll follow up with Wei on that and get that figured out. And if there's any other questions here in the chat, I know we've got some Kineviz folks as well online. I guess I'll pause for a moment. Alrighty. Well, I cannot demo without Wei. So I think we might be at the end of our demo here. But I would say, so apologize, demo gods, or maybe it's internet gods today. But we do have, we have somebody asking about GraphGeeks. I'm going to assume that Wei got hit by some weird internet outage, may not be back. I am very happy to reschedule, and I'm sure Wei and team would be happy to sit down with folks and talk a little more about this project. Kineviz does have a graph analytics full-blown enterprise solution as well. This obviously was from Wei's personal project to solve note-taking problems and note-taking research problems. But yeah, definitely, you can also reach Wei on the GraphGeeks Discord. The question from mentorships. What does GraphGeeks actually do? So as far as like GraphGeeks is a community for people who love graphs. It is a volunteer community. We are on Discord. We do these webinars and talks. We also do podcasts. We're at events. We're starting to get involved in training as well. So it's something that I started a couple years ago because I love graphs and I like to be vendor neutral. So bringing together people from different vendors so that we can learn from each other, really. So it is, and I will put this in the chat, it is ooh, not in all caps, so I don't want to shout at y'all. GraphGeeks.org. There we go. And you can find us there. That has links to the Discord, and we've got around 1,000 people, I think, in Discord. So feel free to join, reach out to me. Wei is also on Discord as well. It looks like we have some questions coming in about how they solve the deltas. Wei mentioned the slowness kuzu for inserts. Yeah, as far as details on that, I'm going to defer to Wei on how to actually create something like this. If you came in early on, you'll realize that Wei did this. He started this with vibe coding. His repo is open for anybody to play with, so you can take this and do something else with it. But basically, he's using the open source components of the 3 different tools we talked about, Obsidian, Kuzu, and GraphXR, and putting them together, and then also using OpenAI to do some of the entity resolution and, of course, the discussions back and forth. So definitely, enjoy playing around with it, and apologize about the internet. I'm assuming internet outage, but really appreciate the time of everyone. And we can definitely do a follow-up at some point. And especially if you start playing with this and want to collaborate, I think that would kind of be cool, is to look at what people might be doing with this. So again, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you all online.